I'm the oldest, man. I'm gonna hit Alzheimer's before y'all get it.
Alzheimer's. He said Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's.
What do they call Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's. That man
What
said
is-
old timers. He gonna get old timers.
Got that old timers.
I'm gonna get the old time.
What's up, people?
What's up? We back, y'all. This
What's up?
The Reflection Connection podcast, and we missing some people today. Yvette can't make it, and we don't know where Phil is. Hence the banner at the bottom of the screen. Where the fuck is Phil?
Yeah. Is this our first New Year show? Or do we
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Welcome to the New Year, everybody.
Yeah, how was y'all New Year's, by the way?
I was at work. But it was wonderful because I went outside and there was a firecracker. There was a firecracker store and a firecracker stand right across the street. So they lit the whole block up. So I just stood outside and watched it for a good 30 minutes before they stopped.
Yeah.
So it was actually pretty cool. And it was a chill night at work too. So I was like, all right, this is not a bad New Year.
You didn't have people lonely trying to get up in there?
Maybe like a few, but it wasn't until like maybe 4 or 5 in the morning. But it wasn't like it was on Christmas.
Phil say he gonna be on in a minute.
Yeah, I think that.
But I'm just happy to be alive, so I'm good.
Yep.
Every year,
live and healthy, man. Live and healthy.
You do
well, let me say. I just thought of this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's fair for a company to ban your computer parts from being used on their servers? So let's say, for example, you sell your computer to whoever let's say you put it on Craigslist, eBay, or whatever, because you don't need it anymore. You get a new computer, whatever the deal is, and you sell it. Or let's just say you gave it to your brother, and then your brother sold it. So then he sold it to somebody. Somebody broke down the parts, and then they sold it to somebody. And then all of a sudden, some dude buy one of the parts that originally came from your computer, went to go play Call of Duty, and then all of a sudden they can't play Call of Duty because one of those parts registered in their database for being a banned part. Do you think that's fair?
I'm gonna say it like this: they can set parameters to do whatever they want to do on their server. I'm not that tech savvy to know how it goes with banning parts. If there's a way that they can ban like your account or your IP address or something like that, I would think that would be the way that they should roll, because parts itself is kind of like what you're saying. If you sell it, but I don't know all of the back end on how they ban. Why would they ban your part? I figured
they could find the serial number on the part when it gets upload once the computer is online. They got programs that'll seek out every part inside the computer. And then it'll point out what part that is, and if that part is registered as being a banned part, then it'll block that person from being able to play the game.
Well, I guess my decision depends on this: how easy is it to create another IP address or another account and wrap around? Because I would think you could just ban the person's account or their IP address or whatever, and that way they can't get back on. But I don't know how detailed that is. So if they're banning parts, I'm guessing it's really easy to create another IP address or another account and just load back up or something.
It's not easy, but it's normal. It's like it's available or whatever. Sometimes it may cost money.
What's easier to do, just to create another IP address account, or
it's easy to process? As far as buying, most people ain't gonna go out and buy a whole new computer just to play a game again. Or whatever, because that'll be a brand new part. So they rather some people would just change their IP address, MAC address, any digital signature. If they can change it, they'll try to change it. But that could always be manipulated, which is what most people tend to do if they want to play a game again. But when you ban a part, that's like somebody banning an engine part from a car, or any other part from some other,
and you can sell that,
and you wouldn't be able to sell it. Which to me, I would consider that against fair trade practices, in my opinion. And so that's just how I see it. The reason why I say that is because a person can sell something to somebody else. They don't know that some company decided to ban it. And what if that's an actual decent player who ain't hacking on their, let's say in the case of Call of Duty, it's just another person who playing Call of Duty, but he bought a good part from somebody else, didn't know that part got banned because of somebody else trying to hack or whatever. And then now he get punished because of somebody else's part. But what I agree with you on this, you should just ban accounts, ban any personal information that leads to the person who is doing some shady stuff on your server. But banning parts, I think that's just crazy.
Well, what do you think about this? Like, whenever you start an account with something like that, where people can do stuff, you have to link your like social security or your driver's license number to it. Because I would feel like it's harder to go get another social security or a driver's license. So every time you log in, you have that information. So if you do something where they ban you, they just ban that.
Well, the reason why they don't, it's a number of reasons why they don't require social security. It's because one, it'll be a lot of people trying to sue them.
Or like driver's license number or something like that.
Well, that too. That's a little too crucial. Because it's just supposed to be an entertainment service, and they shouldn't have to require all that type of stuff. And so that's probably one of the liability issues why Activision wouldn't do that. Try to tell you got to give social security or driver's license, but an email, a phone number, because they got it where. Phil, you can see us. We
waving at your minion in the back.
Oh, you talking about? Sienna, stand up. 5, 4. Say hey. Quit being shy.
She did.
Oh, you did?
Said, huh? Yeah, she said hey.
Oh, I didn't even. I was too busy. Dang. I'm not. What was I saying? Yeah. Anyway,
you said not doing the driver's license stuff like that. Cause
I just think that's because it's hard to stop hackers, and they throwing everything in the kitchen sink at trying to stop hackers, and ultimately it's going, in my opinion, it's gonna become a negative thing because they putting too many implementations to kind of like block hackers or prevent hackers from trying to play on their games, because it's gonna cost them money, because it's gonna be at some point it's gonna be a lot of people going, man, I can't get on this game because of this reason or that reason, and it's all because they think you probably hacked it. Like right now, I'll give you a good example. If you get on that game and get like 9 kills, you could be a person who just never played Call of Duty. I did that. You could just get 9 kills. Let's say you got lucky or whatever, and they'll kick you from the game and shadow ban you because you got 9 kills.
Yeah, that didn't happen. But I noticed if you're in the game now and you get a bunch of kills, the game AI also changes on you too. I didn't know it did that, because I'm like, man, why all the AI attacking me? So the last couple of times I played, I was like, wait a minute, it's different AI I'd never even seen before started attacking me.
They even do this, dog. I think Activision is really they getting shady like EA. Okay, they even do this. If you just actually a good person and they can't find that you hacking or nothing like that, they can't find a reason on why you're so good, they'll actually make your the power of your bullets or whatever be reduced, or make the enemy take more damage, which means now it's harder for you to kill somebody. Yep. Yeah. This is a lot of stuff that's going around in the gaming community when it comes to Call of Duty. I think some of that might be true. It's bullshit though.
But back to your original question, I wouldn't want them to ban parts. I would want them to try to figure out another way to make sure that whoever logs in onto the account is that person every single time. Like, I don't think there should be a way that you can only have one account. And if they figure that out, I think that would be the best way to ban people. Yeah.
It's kind of like that whole the stoplights. I mean, the cameras at the stoplight situation, where you let somebody borrow your car, and then they go ahead and send you the ticket because somebody that you let borrow the car ran the red light, but you get the ticket and got to pay it. That's crazy.
Yep. What's up, Phil? What's up, Plex? Did Phil freeze?
Phil, can you hear us?
Nah, he moving.
What's going on, yo?
Phil flexing on people.
Yeah.
You was having technical difficulties at work?
Yeah, I can hear you. Y'all can't hear me?
I can hear you, but your
y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you look like you keep freezing.
You moving again?
Yeah, you moving again now though. You moving again?
Well,
let's dive into it.
Y'all want to get to this debate?
Yep.
What was it again? What was the topic?
Let's do it. All right. Let me pull it up here. So today's topics. There's 3 points we're gonna try to hit today, y'all. The first one is, can racism be eradicated completely? I'm very interested to know y'all thought process on that.
Who want to go first?
Can racism be eradicated completely? I mean, I'll jump in and tell you mine real quick if y'all want. I think Phil is muted. So can racism be eradicated completely? In my personal opinion, I don't think you can eradicate racism completely unless there's only one race is the way you can eradicate racism, or unless you have an alien invasion and everybody bands together to support humanity, because we all fighting against the aliens. But as soon as we wipe the aliens out, we're gonna go back to being racist. Anytime you can see something different about another person, it's gonna create some type of hierarchy or some type of difference between them people. So as long as we have different races, I don't think there's a way you can eradicate racism completely. So that's the way I feel about that one.
Phil, you can hear us, right? Phil,
he moving.
Yeah, I see it moving, but I
you
can't
can hear us.
Say something, Phil.
Yeah, y'all can hear.
Oh, okay.
Hear
Okay,
me?
Yeah. It looked like your picture like freeze up, so we can't see your head like move.
Oh, he gone.
Yeah.
Phil.
Phil got that crazy Wi-Fi.
I want to blame.
Let me preface this real quick too. The reason I answer these questions, man, because the TikTok is the devil. Some of these little spaces they create, man, the people who in there actually hosting the show, I think, come off as being more racist or whatever the spaces that they created actually comes off, and it makes them look worse. Because the way they talking to people and some of the stuff they say, I'm just like, man, I can't believe these people even got a voice. And they'll have like a big space where there's a lot of people in there too. So, but that's where I kind of got some of these questions from. I was like, okay, let me see what's going on out here. But anyway, if somebody else want to answer that one.
I was gonna say, I was surprised you on TikTok. Like this.
I'll be on TikTok at work just because I'll be bored, and I'm like, and it's live, and I'm just sitting there chilling, but I'll be hearing stuff, and I'm like, oh man, don't tell me I'm gonna have to jump on this space real quick and say something. But I always get booted out they little live.
I don't even know, like, is it like a chat group or?
It's like kind of like what we doing. It's pretty much the same thing like what we doing right now, but they'll have like a space, and then they'll post their questions on their like on the dashboard or something. So if you just scrolling through TikTok, you see these questions. And then it'll be a group of people in the chat. Like if we had a live, if we was going live on YouTube, you got people in the chat. So you can just stay in the chat and type, but then they'll have like a panel like how we have, but it's like 8 people, and you can bring the people up and have a debate. And then there's moderators and stuff like that, so you can boot people and stuff, or you can just boot. They usually just boot me back down to the comments, so you can have a debate in the comments, or you can have a live debate on the space. And they can just completely boot you off the page, because I had that happen a couple of times too. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what? And they just completely blocked you.
It's just a bunch of biases going on.
Yes, and it's the little bit of, I don't know, maybe because it's 2-3 in the morning, but the people that's on there at 2-3 in the morning, I'll be like, man, these are the people out here in the world like this? Like, really?
I would say if you don't root yourself, which y'all know I'm a strong supporter of scientific understanding. If you don't root yourself into scientific facts, logic, credible facts, I gotta say it that way. If you don't root yourself into that, you will become a biased thinking person, and you wouldn't know that you're biased, or wouldn't believe that you're biased or whatever. But so the question was, again, I'll go next. What was the question?
Can racism be eradicated completely?
It's on the
Right
bottom
there.
of the screen.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest, man. I'm gonna hit Alzheimer's before y'all get it.
Alzheimer's. He said Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's.
What do they call Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's. That man
What
said
is-
old timers. He gonna get old timers.
Got that old timers.
I'm gonna get the old timers. So can racism be eradicated? Yeah, of course not. It can't. If it's something, if it's an emotional feeling, pretty much no emotional feeling can ever be eradicated completely from the face of this planet by every single person on the planet. And racism is an emotional feeling based on physical events and actions and appearances of certain people, and even words or whatever. And so it's gonna always be around. And so the people who promote racism, the people who find themselves being a racist, whether they know it or not, or just the ignorant people and the stupid people. And I say ignorant is because sometimes, let's say parents, stupid parents, can teach their children to be racist, and the children won't know at the time that racism is a bad thing. Until they grow up, they may find out that it's bad. Then, if they smart or intelligent, they'll get rid of that belief system or whatever. So, yeah, it won't ever be eradicated, and the only people who gon' keep it at bay is the intelligent people among us. All the stupid idiots, they just gonna keep, doing their thing, just making chaos one way or the other. So yeah, that's my take.
Sorry, I'm low energy today.
You probably got all that heavy. Look like you got on summer BDU, winter BDU, your damn flak vest. No, I'm just playing.
Gore-Tex.
This is a workout.
LBE, NV, what's the other one? LBE, NBV. Night vision goggles.
It's way more acronyms since you didn't got out, bro.
Yeah.
I know. I bet you did.
IBA, IOTV, all that shit. So the question is, can racism be eradicated completely? Yes, can. It can. Will it? Probably not. He says he can hear us.
Oh, Phil said that?
Cut me off. I can hear y'all, but displays for freezing. Okay. I might have to change the settings because I can ask it to record in 4K, but it says everybody's got to have good internet to do it. So his internet might not be good enough for us to be.
Yeah, don't do it in 4K, Shaw. That's just putting a strain on everything. It's too much. It's too much data gotta be streamed.
Yeah.
And of course, Wi-Fi don't have a strong enough structure for that.
Yeah. Next time we do it, I'll change it. I mean, we could end this and start it over, but
you can restart it when Phil come back. It's no biggie.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I just have to splice two videos together.
We can start it all the way back. I don't care.
Yeah, he on Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Phil, come on now. Like how y'all be. Everybody likes to encourage people to be on the same page. I agree, even though sometimes I'm not on the same page. Now Phil gotta tell himself, Phil, if you listening, you gotta give yourself a certain amount of times before this Wi-Fi just make you go ahead and get a landline connection.
My Wi-Fi's pretty good here.
You on Wi-Fi too? Yeah, mine is good, but I was having issues when
I'm not on
first started.
Oh
yeah, me neither.
I'm in my office. That's silly for me to be on Wi-Fi, but especially if you're trying to game seriously.
Yeah.
You
can go LAN, or if you can go Cat 6, and definitely do that.
So Phil must be on the laptop because he just said his computer wasn't charged.
That's what it was. The computer wasn't charged.
Yeah, he must be on the laptop.
I mean, he works on a laptop.
He didn't have it plugged in, I guess. Huh?
Yeah,
that's
I'm on my laptop, but I got it.
And always plug.
I got it plugged in.
I should say
trusty desktop. Never let you down.
High performance applications, you need to plug it in because it'll slow your computer down if you don't. But back to the racism topic. I can honestly think if I'm thinking through time, I mean, people have been mad at other people, but it wasn't because of the way their skin looked. It wasn't because of their race. It was maybe they were in a different country. They were, nationalism or classism. I think racism really didn't pop up. I could be obviously wrong, but I think it's when they started the slave trade.
Yes,
when they started subjugating other people and then justifying it that they weren't human beings. There were slaves throughout history before then, but it was like, hey, you're a slave because my people conquered your people in war or battle or whatever. Right. Or I purchased you from a slave market. But, slaves back then, anyone could be a slave. A white dude could be a slave. An Egyptian person could be a slave. Israeli person could be a slave. A Goth could be a slave. It was just whatever group that you were in got taken, captured by whoever the fucking person was in power. And they did it because they had power over you, not because of your race. Mm-hmm. I think, the slave trade happened. It got to the Americas. And then they basically was like, hey, we're better than these subhumans. And they tried to justify that by saying, hey, we're white and you're not. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but I want to say not only did Nazi Germany look at how the Americas subjugated their white or black people, and they use that as like a blueprint. And not only did that happen, also South Africa, like they got their ideas of racism from the racism that was created in America, and they use that as a blueprint of how they would go about their business. So I think in history, it's relatively new racism.
What? Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's as old as it's as old as time. Kind of like when the Cro-Magnons ran into the Neanderthals at some point.
That was tribalism, but like they didn't know what a race was. You know what I mean? Like
Well, yeah, but
they weren't.
They didn't like the way they looked, which is the same context of racism.
I don't even think it was a way you looked. It was just you weren't us. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
I don't know, Shad. Because, for example, there's still people who have never seen a really dark person before. There's people who in person. Yeah. And it's shocking to them at times. And and they can either take it negative or positive. You know what I mean?
But they don't inherently think they're better than that person. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's a part of racism too. So yeah. So,
if you were to see a person that looked different from you, you wouldn't be like, well, that's my race is superior to them. You know what I mean? That's why I say I think racism is relatively new. You had nationalism, which is another form of tribalism.
Yeah,
you had that going on. You had a bunch of people using their power to subjugate people that were less technologically advanced than them. That happened, but it wasn't like I'm white, you're not white, therefore I've been ordained to be better than you. You are sub than me based solely on the color of my skin. You know what I mean?
Well, what would be the biggest factor that will be the bulk of what racism is? What would be the bulk? Because you could say we just look different, and that could be considered a component of racism.
That's not racism. Yeah.
Well, if you look at the definition, it is looking different or being different is under that definition. Even believing something different. If a group of people, let's say a group of, we'll say Middle Eastern Indians, if they ran into, let's say, a Christian who don't like the fact that they're, first off, they believe something that's other than Christianity, we'll say Islam, and they from the Middle East and not America.
That's not racism.
That's under the definition. Let me look it up.
You want me to look up the definition?
We seen it the other day, Oscar. What was it?
Oh yeah. Hold on, I'll pull it up.
I think that's the number one thing that occurred to me was what was
racism.
What was the definition of racism?
Definition.
I think that it depends on who you're saying.
Yeah.
You want me to?
It's prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. That's the first, for the most part, definition. So, you know, I think I would disagree with that. The look.
Definitely.
Yeah, that definition has been altered because there are a lot of people that are in their fields when you say that. We'll get to this. This is one of the topics.
Yeah,
kind of.
The majority of racism doesn't take place.
Go ahead.
We didn't hear you, Phil.
Yeah, you cut out.
You cut out.
Oh,
we just heard the majority, and then
y'all can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, I was saying that. Okay, no, I was just saying that I disagree with that definition on a number.
So what Oh, he cut out.
Wait,
again.
what?
You keep cutting out, Phil.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Phil. Well, I want to say this. I think racism is just basically prejudice against the way a person look. That's my personal opinion. I think if you see somebody, the way they look, you could just choose not to like them. That's just, you know, and I think everything from that definition I read stems from what I just said.
Yeah, but it has to be, the key component to that sentence is racial or ethnic group, right? And yeah, this is a newer definition.
That's one of the things I don't like about how they be changing shit.
So what is? I guess that's a better. What is the old definition of the definition?
It should be just based on looks, Oscar. What else?
Well, not really on looks, but race.
Yeah, what a person look like.
They included ethnic group.
Cause like if you look at a person, Oscar, let's just say you see some random person 10 feet from you. You can look at them and observe it's a male or a female, old or young, and then you look at them, you figure out what their race is. If their race ain't yours, you could decide whether you like them or not. Yeah. So I think it all stems from just looks.
Here's a Merriam-Webster, because that was from Oxford. That was the English people going. So it's a belief that race is a fundamental determination of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. That's the racism definition that I was operating under.
Basically, they think they better, the people who don't like the other people.
Right. I mean, so, but what I'm saying is I mean, you can like another person and still be racist. You just think that your race is better than theirs.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, I think that was what that guy said, Oscar. Remember we seen that teacher tell the students that
they got fired. Yeah, that's basically what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he think his race is more superior, and those students was like, what?
Yep.
Yeah. He shouldn't have said that at all. Which he could be right on if you heard like what he means specifically. But
component.
Yeah,
I should break it up bad, huh?
Yeah, it's breaking up bad, Phil. Like I hear little snippets of what you're saying, then it just completely break up.
What's up?
Yeah,
and it's delayed.
You buffering hard, Phil. You're basically what's going on. The data packets keep breaking because of too much interference or something is weak. But in the pipeline, all the information going to your computer and you trying to put all that information back, something is weak, and that's basically what the issue is. Either the signal your hardware, the software that helps aid it, something.
Yeah.
You wanna try this over again?
Yeah, we
and then
can.
start it up again.
Yeah, we can.
I'm gonna change the settings a little bit.
I was just gonna sit here and watch the Grinch anyway.
Man, that's
I know that was some
Money
cold
Mike.
stuff. Yeah, Money Mike said that.
Oh man, we need to talk about that, man. Did y'all see his interview?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I kind of don't like Cat Williams anyway. But what was he saying?
He was talking about a lot of the other comics and stuff like that, what they issues are in between each other and stuff. I thought it was a good interview though.
Cat Williams, if you ask me, do I like him versus not, I lean toward I don't. He just said some things.
He gets
that
real preachy sense. And churchy.
Yes. Yeah. That's his biggest thing that I don't
like. And God got me. That's why because there's a God walking around. And
if we came from monkeys, then why we still got monkeys? I heard him say some shit like that before too.
Oh yeah.
He's entertaining, but he has some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I actually liked his interview though. I thought his interview was pretty cool.
All right, hey, I'm gonna end it, then I'm gonna restart it.
Okay,
but I'm gonna change the recording to not 4K recording. See if that makes it better.
I'm looking at my settings here to see what my download speeds are.
Mm-hmm.
Do they look pretty good? Is they in the gigabits or megabits?
Just hit speed test. Just type in speed test in your browser.
Yeah, you can do that.
Your
upload, your download is always gonna be weaker than your upload, which I hate. If I had a really powerful
y'all know I
download
used to for a living, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, that's right. Phil, you was a cable guy with cable and what else? Oh yeah, Phil. I can see him telling
cable, fiber.
I'm at 780, 689.
What yours is, Short?
780, 689, running slow.
It's not bad. Actually, that's actually really good. That's really good, Short.
I know. Yeah. I was flexing. My bad.
Oh, that's because like a standard connection up down speed would be like 20 down and like 100 up would be like standard 100 mega.
I was like, man, that boy over there on some fiber optic something. Because I'm like, man, yeah.
We got that fiber. Got that fiber.
That's what I got fiber. I don't know what the fuck. This shit won't even let me on.
Because I'm at 20. Download is like 90 and upload is like 20.
Well, if you still running off of Wi-Fi, Phil, that's where you don't get that speed of what fiber would be if it was on land.
Well, I'll test my Wi-Fi real quick.
Cookies and site data. Oh, you know what? That fucking might be it too, man.
So my Wi-Fi is 525 up. No, 525 down, my bad. And 330 up.
Oh. Really, Shot? Yeah, you flexing.
Mine was like 90 and 20 or something like that.
That would be like average, Oscar. The average household.
Yep.
Yeah, when I had them build my house, I was like, yo, I don't want no phone line at all in my house. They had to install one to the kitchen because I guess that's code. You got to have one hard line for the phone. But the rest of my house is Cat 6 to every room, so I can just plug into the wall.
Oh, nice.
I got Cat 8, even though I don't have Cat 6. The reason why I got Cat 8 and it's short as fuck, it's like 2 feet.
What's the newest? Whatever the newest is what I have.
Yeah. Well, you still good, Shaw, based on what you said. It's just that we going through the coaxial. Is that still the term now? Coaxial? The Comcast cable?
The copper.
Yeah,
it's the copper.
Yeah. that's where we see our signal coming from, but it's supposed to be a gigabit. But you know, I didn't test it this high, but my which I forget which one, the up or the down speed is always lower, which sucks. Unless you pay.
Say something now, Phil.
Yeah, I haven't stopped anything, and it looks fine.
What's going on?
Yeah, it sounds like you whatever you did is working now.
Yeah. Well, say something long enough, because usually when you start talking like 2-3 seconds in, you cut off. Count to like 15.
Well, I was saying that that issue with the race definition, I think the component that's missing is that it's a group practice. So when you talk about one of our other questions, you know, can black people be racist? That's where I would disagree with that definition being applied to everyone. And the definition I don't think really applies, because in our case, it's a practice that was originated by a perceived majority, in actuality a minority. You look at it planet population wise, levied against the majority of the population. If you're talking about based on race, which is skin, phenotype, if you want to say. Racism is a phenotypical, I guess, prejudice.
It's definitely a prejudice, yeah.
Could y'all hear all that?
Yeah.
Good then, Phil. Yeah, we heard everything. Yeah, I just base it, you know, I think it's because you got to think all the ancient people, whenever racism was actually a thing, when it very first started, it was simply the way a person looked. If this group of people didn't look like your people, you just didn't like them. And everything spun from there, the other complex things.
A lot of the cultures were a little bit more mixed up than you think they were. They weren't monolithic blocks of people. They won't be like, hey, all the fair-skinned people, we mad at all the dark-skinned people. Like there was, like if you look at ancient Egyptian, what are the drawings called? The hieroglyphics in the actual drawings. Like you had light-skinned, you had fair-skinned Egyptians, you had dark-skinned Egyptians. Like they were all mixed together, and they were Egyptians. It wasn't like, hey, we're gonna make you a slave because you're dark skinned. No, they enslaved other cultures that they conquered because they were warring people. So it wasn't they didn't hate each other because they looked different. It was just because you weren't part of this tribe. I think, like I said, it was more nationalism. I think the way we think of racism today is basically an American invention. You know what I mean? The Western European whites, I don't want to say American, because there was racism in England. So, it was a lot later than what you think. I don't think it was an ancient thing.
No, I think it was actually before that. Even before the Egyptian, I think it was the dawn of modern man. There was still racism, basically solely shot on the way a person looked, and it's just that simple. What you're talking about, which I do agree, as time progressed, as humans got more complex with their ways of life, the things they did and believed and built, there's other added prejudice to the core component of racism. But I think the core component of racism is simply you just look different. Because take it like this: if me and you actually, and Phil and Oscar, we all looked at white, it would not be a white person being racist against us if we looked white. If we had really white skin, stringy hair,
right now, though,
they couldn't say that we racist. Any white person. They couldn't be racist.
That's not true.
But the way how is that not true? They wouldn't be able to tell the difference between another white person from the next.
Okay, Phil, were were whites prejudiced against Irish people?
That's not racist though. That's prejudice.
But you see what I'm saying? They weren't considered white. They weren't part of. It's as stupid as that sounds. That's a fact. Irish people weren't considered white. They were considered other. Maybe
we should address what the real term white or Caucasian mean.
Not Caucasian. That's a new.
Well, I'm gonna say this: if your ancestors was affected by, we'll say the Ice Age type of stuff, and you have really light skin like this and stringy hair, I just say you white. So if you speak Irish or what, if that's a language, I don't know if they speak English or I don't. But if you look like this with stringy hair and you speak any other language, it doesn't matter. You would be considered white to anybody who don't look like that.
Now, yeah, you're right.
Well, that's my thing. So why wasn't it the same way for the ancient humans who didn't even have all this built up technology?
The whiteness itself is relatively new. I'm not saying like last year or 10 years ago. I'm talking about throughout all of human history. Whiteness, like, hey, I'm white. That person's not white. That's a very Western new.
Yeah, the term white, that's fine. I'm just saying the complexion. So let's flip it. If you're really,
I agree that there were white people or people that we would consider white people throughout history, but they weren't grouped together. It's like the term Christian. The term Christian is fairly new. You had a bunch of different sects of Christianity that all didn't get along with each other. Then they figured out, hey, we're stronger together, so we're all Christians instead of saying I'm a Presbyterian, I'm a Baptist, I'm a Lutheran, I'm a blah, 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 blah. And that's what happened with whiteness. Whiteness is a mind state. It's not an actual race.
Of course.
And you have to be accepted into whiteness, which Irish people were not when they immigrated over into America. They weren't considered white people.
Kind of like the Jews.
I'm giving you I'll take your word for that. I'm just saying to just simply be the core of racism is just looking different from somebody else. And that is where the prejudice is born.
I get it. But think about what I'm saying is can you if they're not redheaded, tell a difference between a white person and an Irish person?
No. Couldn't tell the difference.
You couldn't, but they were still racist towards Irish people because they weren't considered white.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. If I'm
even though they looked exactly the same,
huh?
Even though they looked exactly the same.
Yeah, that's just weird that they felt that way. But let's go with, not to make this a black thing, but you take Africa, which is a continent, not a country. There's a whole bunch of countries in Africa, and the majority, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't updated my history on Africa in a while. But if I'm not mistaken, it's still majority African of the indigenous Africans there. And yet, even though it's different countries, they could actually hate each other. Just like how you saying the whites would hate on the Irish just because they're Irish, even though they all still white. Just like the Africans could hate, even though they all still Africans.
Yeah, well,
it wouldn't be racism to me. It would just be prejudice.
It's prejudice and it's being nationalistic.
Yeah, like tribalism.
Yeah,
but they're not saying, hey, we're black and then this Nigerian is not black.
Right.
That's why I say it would be racist. Whites in America were saying, we are white. We are part of the white race. And this race of people of Caucasian descent are not considered to be white. They're considered to be other. They're not black.
That was happening. That was happening in America?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's weird. I never heard of it, but I agree that there was some idiots out there talking to another white person that you ain't white, even though he is, based on geology and shit like that. But
I think
that's just.
I think you got to look at the history of those racial groups, though, and understand the history between Ireland and Britain.
Right.
Ireland was a country that was, and I don't want to go too far into that because that's not really the topic, but it does have a part to play. The Irish, when they were brought here, were called green niggers. But even over there was a large black population of Irish people. And that's a little known fact about the Irish population. We tend to look at the Irish and see them as a majority white population when that was too far from the truth. The Druids in their own history are known to be a group of black known people. There is documentation, because you got to think, prior to well, I'll just say like this: the occupation of lands in colonialism is pretty formulaic. So wherever there's an existing people on an existing landmass, the same thing happens. People that don't live there go there, love it, move the people that do live there out of it. And the same thing happened to a number of those people. I think there might even be greater documentation for the people that were moved from Ireland here, because in some of those records that I saw, it gave the names of persons, and it wasn't no Shaka Dahumje, none of that shit. It was McIntyre, black male, welder, 36, owns such and such land. In fact, damn, I wish I could remember this entire fact. Oh man, I can't even. There's this property in which it's a tourist attraction. It's a castle or something, or an estate with the castle on it, and it makes like so many million a year. And the people who currently own it have not owned it historically, and it was traced back. I have to look that up, but it was traced back to its original owners who were black. This is in Ireland. But to get to the point of it, I think that race has I think the point we're bringing up is that race has been modified over the years so many times, even as we speak, right? Hispanics just got reclassified as white. If I look at my documents here and there's a Hispanic, he's going to be white.
Let me ask you this
when
question.
You go into jail, they're classified. Indians got classified as Caucasian.
Let me ask you this, Phil. What would be, because I haven't looked it up, what would be the reason why Hispanics are classified as white now?
White supremacy. And more
logical than that.
It's super logical.
No, that's completely
if I looked it up, that's not what it's gonna say though. What?
Well, that's where you can't allow your oppressors to define things for you. That's number one. That is white. That is white supremacy. When you allow someone to dictate your conception of reality, then they control your reality. So you can't just go off of a definition that someone who doesn't have your best interests and someone whose objective is to subject you. Whose objective is to subject you, and use their terminology and understand it to understand the situation.
Phil, I agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying is this. I agree with what you just said. It's just, if you ask whoever's in charge of classifying this, what is the reason, they should have a reason available. So do y'all know that reason?
So the reason that they're saying, or the real reason is white supremacy, Dave?
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the reason that's in public. That's in the public domain. What they saying?
But what I'm saying is it's a known fact that the numbers are swinging to where white people are going to be part of the minority group pretty soon. That Hispanics in America are going to overtake them as the majority population. If you reclassify them as white, you will not lose that majority population. And I'm not gonna say everyone wants to be white, but a lot of people want to be white. Asians want to be white. They want to be part of the white crowd. So they're not going to argue with being classified as white. They want to be in the whiteness because of white supremacy.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying,
now,
what is the actual reason?
That is the actual reason. The reason that someone may say
on
that
paper.
They're doing it on paper is it's going to be something bullshit. It's going to be, you know what I mean? Curious. Or we just classified them this because of affirmative. They'll blame it on. Well, they can't blame it on affirmative action no more. But something like that.
I'm just wondering, like, if you actually go see the document and it says, "Oh, if you this shade of, if your skin this shade, this is the threshold on why you white. If your skin this shade, this is the threshold on why."
Well, let me ask you this, Dave. What would be a logical reason for them to want to classify a Hispanic person as white?
I wouldn't see one.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
That's why I wanted to know what they said. I wouldn't.
And that's part that's why. I was just saying that's why it's a fallacy for any logical person, right? You can't logically you can't come up with an idea of why this is a benefit to or why there's reason to do that, especially when in the past that was argued. You know what I'm saying? They were not considered that. So why the reason? And just like Rashad mentioned, and you talk. This is something that what does Dr. Neely Fuller say? If you don't understand white supremacy, white fragility, white inferiority, then everything you think you understand will only confuse you. And what that means is, if you don't see the pervasiveness of the if you don't see white racism in every function and interaction of society, then when I say white racism, if you don't see racism in every function and like there's others, if you don't see it in every function and engagement of society, then you really don't understand it, and you really don't see it for what it is. So for someone to say like, oh, he doesn't like him because of his color, that's racism. Not so much when it has more to do with the power dynamic and controlling resources to the extent that another group isn't allowed opportunities or access to resources
I think that's
their racial thinking.
Phil, I think that's a modern component, what you just said, of what we're dealing with now. But I think the core, like I was saying earlier, is simply the shade of a person's skin, the texture of their hair. That's all it takes for somebody to be like, I don't like you.
Well, if you think about racism in its inception, let's say it started with white people coming into power. When did white people come into power on a world scale? That would have been what they call the Renaissance. After the Moors were kicked out of, after the Moors were defeated in Granada in Spain. So you're talking about 1491, 1492. Prior to that, Moors, black people, had ruled Europe for almost 1,000 years. Rebuilt Europe, brought Europe out of the Dark Ages twice. So when what happens right after white people come into power? Spain, you got King Philip, you got Queen Isabella. They began subjecting black people under the guise of Christianity as heretics and subjecting them to torture and shit like that, right? Prior to that, See,
Yeah,
and that's what I mean by not understanding that this has taken place like for years. The entire Punic, what's called the Punic Wars, are race wars. When you talk about the holy wars, those are race wars. It wasn't Christians against Muslims. It was whites against black people under the guise of religion.
Let me say something. This is for the viewers, okay? To put it in layman's terms, racism started like this. This is my perspective. It's based on sight, meaning the color of a person's skin, their hair, or the way they look. Then it stemmed from that, or there were more components added to it by going, oh, you're a Christian? I don't like Christians. I don't like you. Or you believe in being rich and I'm poor. I don't like you because you're rich. You educated? I'm not. I don't like you because you're educated. So all these newer components added or attached to the core component of racism is what we have today. Like, so if you in a group of people, or you among a group or a part of a group who believe this or have this, somebody could just be racist to you because you're a part of this group of people, which it actually, now that I think about it, that other definition that I read earlier, that actually makes more accurate sense now, because like what Phil was just saying, he was naming certain things that has nothing to do with skin color. People still mad about, so the basic core component, like I said, is just skin color, texture.
That's exactly what I brought up, was skin color. Now, what I brought up was there was a guise. They guised it as religion. They guised it as, resources, if you would. Like I said, the Holy War, which we all know were the Knight Templars, the Christians, the whites, against the Muslims, the Islam. Well, the majority of black people were Muslims at that time because they were Arabic, or they spoke Arabic, which was the contemporary language in those times. They had the resources. This was the basis of the Moors and the basis of academia, because the schools of knowledge came from the populations and the geographical areas of these particular people. So what I'm saying is, it's always been about one group of people with a certain phenotype, pale skin, going against another group of people with a certain phenotype, dark skin.
Let me kind of jump in here on something. So we were talking about the definition earlier about racism. So I noticed a lot of people kind of incorporate this into the definition too, that it can only be considered racism if you have the power to suppress another group of people, which kind of segues into our second question, which is, can black people be racist? Because if you don't have, I notice a lot of people will say if you don't have power to prevent them from like either economical, whatever it could be, then you can't be racist. So if you're the minority, you can never be considered racist. And I don't know how y'all feel about that. So what are y'all thoughts on that? Can black people be racist?
Well, let me start with that. Yeah, that's the component of the racist definition that I said was missing, that gives you the full context of what racism actually is. It isn't one individual not liking somebody because of their skin and wanting to do something about it. And the greatest example I ever heard about that was, if all black people didn't like all white people, what could we do that would prevent them from being and doing who they are and what they are at this point? We couldn't affect how they get loans. We couldn't affect how they're hired. We couldn't affect, where they go shopping for their food. We couldn't police their communities. And that's why I say there's a power dynamic in racism, and it has to do with the access of opportunities and resources. course.
So you don't
Otherwise,
believe
it's just plain old. It's just plain old prejudice. Which it couldn't be individually because it's practiced as a group. Race in the name pertains to a group. Even if it is an individual, it's a individual that is a part of a group. So that individual would have to be able to levy, or that group of that individual would have to be able to levy that power against the entire group. Not at the same time, of course, because nobody can do that, but systematically. There's structures in place that are that are on what's the word? That are on automatic, right? Especially now with like AI, you'll see it. But there's structures in place to where, let's just say, to the extent now that you have some of us that say that racism doesn't exist because we had a black president. Racism, he can't be racist because he's married to a black wife. When none of that shit means anything.
Well, you could only be.
Thomas Jefferson had a black woman and had black kids. But
let me say this, Phil. I just say it. This is how I would see it for those people who say what you said. Who would be? What'd you say? What'd you say, Phil? For those, this is how I see it.
No.
For those,
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I was listening.
Oh, okay. For those people, kind of like what you were saying, who was like, well, I can't be racist because I'm married to a black woman and I'm white or whatever. Racism is real simple to understand and identify racists. Through their actions, they will show you they racist. One way or the other, if they showing that they hate a person just because that person is different from them, look different, act different, whatever, then they being racist.
So you believe in individual racism then?
Yes.
Right.
So you could be married, you could be a white dude married to a black woman and you could still dislike black people. You could be a black dude married to a white chick and still dislike white people.
Can I say something about that? So I think it's a common misconception. For one, the way that our society uses the word racist, they use it like how we get mad at people when they say, well, that's just a theory. Like it's a colloquial term. It's not the real definition of racism. So they're using it wrong, but we've been using this wrong for so long that people just throw it out. That person's being racist. That person's being racist. I don't think racism has to have a component of hate in it. You know what I mean? Like I had a guy that I was in the army with, right? And he could eat steak out of my hand. He did not dislike me. There was no hate involved in it. But was he racist towards black people as a people? Yes, because he thought that if, for instance, there was a black girl at the unit that liked him, that, I think he's cute. And I was like, man, she thinks she's cute. He's like, I could never be with a black girl. And I was like, why? What's the deal? He's like, my grandmother would turn over in her grave. And that's how I'm going to teach my kids. Even though he didn't not dislike them, it was just he thought that we were different. He thought that his race was better. You know what I mean? Not dislike, but better. There were slave owners who liked their slaves, but they still had slaves because they felt as though they had the right to own another human being because of the color of their skin. You know what I mean? So I don't think racism has to have the dislike or the hate or the anger or even, but you can have prejudice. You can have prejudice without anger. Yeah. Go ahead. I don't want to say something.
I just want to say I agree with you with the whole racism don't have to have a hate component. The problem is in our society and probably in other societies around the world, people will take a term and they will start subjecting injecting their own definition, and all it takes is for that definition to get caught to catch on. So it would be aside from the actual dictionary's definition, and then that definition may be different from another dictionary's definition, and now the term is just all over the place with everybody having an opinion about it, and nobody really knows what the true definition of that particular term is. So I would say what the true definition of racism should be is that you just feel differently from another race compared to your race. Just not necessarily superior, not necessarily that you hate them or you dislike them. You just feel differently from them. And so therefore you will stick to your race and support your race before you do anything else. That's how I would ideally think racism should be. But now we got so many add-ons to that word. It's like, and then like what you were saying, Shard, people could just throw it out there and use it as an excuse for this reason, for that. It's just all over the place now. Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay, so let me jump in too. So I guess my question is this, because kind of I agree with what you were saying too, Short. You can be racist towards somebody or have these prejudices towards them or discriminate against somebody and still actually like that person or whatnot. So my question is this: can black people be racist? And I guess I'm gonna have to get y'all to define what y'all think racism is, because I look at it it can be on the macro level, which meaning that it can only be racist if you actually have systems in place that can oppress another person, or it can be on a micro level. Because like if I walk outside and I see a white dude and I'm like, oh, I can't stand that white guy. Is that racist because I'm black? So I guess I need y'all to kind of define what y'all think racism is.
I think first.
Oh, okay.
Let me go first. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me go first. Just real quick. I think this is what I think it should be. Okay, because we already know the fucking
and can black people be racist too, Dave?
Yeah, okay. It's racism to me should be you don't care for another race, but just you only care for your own, or you show loyalty to your own race and no other race equally. Mm-hmm. So like if I was white, I wouldn't care for blacks. If I was black, I wouldn't care for whites. Just
can
that.
You be racist
not
against
that you
your own
hate
race?
So now, if being to answer that question, can you be racist against your own race? Mm-hmm. If you happen to be black, let's say, because I'm black, and I'm like, man, I can't stand my race or whatever, and I dislike a lot. Yes, I believe that a person could probably be, but yes, I think a person could be racist against their own race. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the answer. You go ahead, Short.
So in the vein of the question, can black people be racist? In a world where black people were the dominant race and we had black supremacy, then yes, black people could be racist, where they could control all of the world's resources. They could control basically everything that's going with the world. But that's not the world we live in right now. So I don't think black people can be racist in the world that we live in right now. Can black people be bigots? Yes. Can black people be prejudiced? Yes. But can they be racist? No.
But you haven't told us what you think racism should be under your definition of what it should be.
Well, I think under my definition, racism has to do with the power dynamic. If you don't have the power to oppress people, I can't oppress anyone. I can't.
Okay, so we know what Sean was saying.
Hold on, let me give you a scenario. So say which a couple of y'all are in interracial relationships. So let's say y'all was both, David and Sean, like y'all was both married to black women, and then y'all had a daughter, and she brings home her white husband, and they're coming to your house for Christmas dinner or something like that. And you say, you know what? My daughter can come in, but your white husband can't come in. Or whatever, because I don't like white people or whatever, so he will not eat at my table. So my interracial kids can come in, my black daughter can come in, but your white husband, he gonna have to stay outside. Is that a form of racism?
Yes, that's racism.
What would you say, Sean? If in this day and age right now,
I still say no. I mean, because
say no.
Damn it, Sean.
What would you say?
He's still gonna go home into his big house, and you know what I mean.
But for a smidge of a second. A time you did
that don't help the cause with your answer.
That's not oppression though. just because I don't let someone in my house.
Okay, what if he has a adopted, your black daughter has a married to this dude, but he has his own white son when they get married. So when they come into your house, you like, okay, it's Christmas dinner. You see the little white kid, and you're like, nah, you ain't eating nothing at my table. You're gonna have to go sit outside because you're not getting fed the whole 8 hours while you here. Then once you leave and go home,
if that same white person in my own house could call the cops on me and have me arrested, then I can't oppress him in my own house, and we know that's the truth.
Shaw, so we get it. So Shaw's sticking to his rule of what his definition is. If you ain't the oppressor, you ain't racist.
Yeah, if you don't have the power.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming Phil, you because you mentioned that earlier too or whatnot. That it's based off of the power structure. So whoever has the power are the only people that can be racist.
I feel like
you froze up, Phil.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, nothing that we would do would be able to change their nothing that we do would be able to change their social interaction, right? And like I said, it's based on a group. The example you gave was an individual on an individual, so that in itself isn't something that could it doesn't apply in that example. But let's use a larger example. Let's say we grew up where we grew up, and there were some people who came where we grew up. They may have been subjected to a little bit of ridicule. They may have been subjected to a little bit of, they might have had to earn their stripes, but in the end, they were accepted as part of us. I can think of at least 3 people that grew up with us like that, without saying no names.
Some white people,
and
right now
I think of even more. Of course,
Wait, who?
Male and female.
He didn't name names, but yeah,
I said
we
male
all know who we're
female.
talking about.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't.
So, and I say that to say that wouldn't be the same. We've heard of too many instances where that wasn't the same situation, where the opposite dynamics were there and people didn't go back home. They didn't make it home, or the entire family had to leave the community. So, and just to think of, there was a woman that came out a couple of days ago. She was a activist, a white woman. I think her name is Joan. Came out a couple of days ago. I think she's like 85, 90 years old now. And she came out, a little quick segment. She said, if I'm still here, you got to know that the ones who didn't believe what I believed are still here. And she's basically saying that, yeah, there may be white people like me who understood, inhumanity and felt like, all people were equal or whatever. But just like I'm still here, they're still out there as well. The ones who don't believe that. And in those people being here, they are perpetuating ideologies that perpetuating the racist ideology. It's being passed down to their children. And so that line of thinking persists. And if we know anything about power, power conserves, power protects itself, power never concedes. So as long as it is a construct to conserve, attain itself, then we know it'll never go anywhere as long as that construct exists. So can black people be racist? No, we don't have power to exert it. Maybe if you talk about an individual level, I do something because I don't like the way somebody looks. At most, that's bigotry or prejudice. And I don't. Well, I don't even want to get into that. But at this point, with the history that we've had, let me just say this: at this point, with the history that we've had, I don't think that seeing a bear and reacting to that bear in a way that preserves your life should be demonified. I think that's smart to run away or to do what you got to do to protect yourself. If you understand my analogy.
I get you. What's I want to hear what Oscar's what's your
we split right down the middle then, because I'm kind of on your side with that, Dave. I feel like racism can exist on the individual level. You can do things. I don't think it. I get when a lot of people try to apply the power structure and say if you don't have the power, you can't oppress another group of people. But you can individually suppress or be racist to another person. Like if I walk outside my house and there's people outside my house and I'm like, oh, y'all white people better get away, but I let the black people stay, that's still me showing that I'm racist towards a group of people or whatever, even though I'm not doing anything to oppress them. So I think that I guess there has to be another more discrete definition of what racism is, because when I look at even the Merriam part, the first part of the definition is basically you just don't like this person because of whatever they traits or the way they look or whatever. So it doesn't have to do with anything about having some type of power structure over them or whatever. But then you go down to the second part of the definition, that's when they put in the systemic oppression of a different group or something like that. So I still think there's a component of individual racism that you can have towards a person. So I think black people can be racist based off of that. So the same, the scenario I was kind of giving Rashard, like if you have a white person coming in your house and you refuse to serve them food, or you kick them out and tell them they got to stay outside just because of they're white. To me, that's being racist or whatever. I wouldn't just say it's just bigotry or it's just prejudice. I would say you're being a racist. So I think we split right down the middle on the panel.
Let me say this.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me ask you questions about that.
Okay.
I would ask one, what would be the difference then? So do you think prejudice and bigotry are synonyms, or prejudice, bigotry, and racism are synonyms?
I don't think there's synonyms,
and if
but
not,
I think they're
what
closely.
Would be the difference between?
Well, go ahead, Oscar.
Okay, I think
so
prejudice.
What would be?
Oh, go ahead. I would think prejudice is more of a thought process, and racism is the actual acting. Oh, I would think racism is actually acting it out. Like you can be prejudiced and go, I don't like, it's having like a preconceived notion about a group of people without actually having that experience about them is what I would think the definition of prejudice is. Racism is when you actually act almost like being discriminated against, is when you actually take that prejudice and go, okay, you know what? I had this preconceived notion about that group of people, but now I'm going to act on it because I think that they act this way. I'm not going to include them with my group of people because I had this notion about them. That could be actual, it could be truthful, or it could be false, but you just automatically going to base it off of that. So I think that's the difference. I don't think they're synonyms, but I think they're closely related.
I just looked it up, and it was 2020. All these definitions have been adjusted.
Oh, okay.
It used to be racism equals
my second part.
Racial prejudice plus power equals racism. That was basically what racism was, and it has been changed due to the people saying that black people can't be racist and white people being in their fields about it, basically.
Oh, okay.
Well, I let me say this. I think you take the word racist.
That was the second part of my question.
What's that?
What is it?
What's the second part?
My second question was the difference between racist and racial. And like I said, well, in the definition that Rashad just read, it made mention of the term racial. So you can do something based off of I think in action. I mean, yeah, Rashad, you just cleared that up perfectly, I think, in looking that up.
Let me say this. I think if you take the word prejudice, you take the word racist, you take the word hate, you take the word oppression, not oppression, those three words, prejudice, hate, racism, those words leads to people's actions of doing something against somebody else. That's what those words do. To be prejudiced, you ultimately is gonna perform an action against somebody, and the action that you're gonna perform is gonna be an illogical action. Therefore, those words, of course, we know they're negative words. They're not words that help people. And so, if you say somebody's racist, if they had power, they will act against somebody else. If a person is prejudiced, if they had power, they will do something against somebody else. And obviously hate, somebody will do something against somebody else.
I mean, I think everybody's a little prejudiced.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree.
For whatever reason,
Yeah.
everyone has because prejudice is just prejudging.
Yeah.
Right? You see someone and you judge them before you know them, whatever. I say prejudice as things against redheads all the time because it's funny.
Yeah. The question is though, hold up, Short. If you had power, what would you do against somebody?
Nothing. Like I'll prejudge someone due to stereotypes. Yeah. But most of the stereotypes that I prejudge people on, the shit's funny. Like I'll say like Asians can't drive, even though there are professional race car drivers that are Asian. So that's not necessarily true. But it's a funny.
Just saying something that's inaccurate.
It's a funny stereotype. But
like white men can't jump.
Yeah, if I'm driving in the car and someone cuts me off and it's an Asian person, I'll be like, "Yep, see, I told you." Like, but in a funny way, you know what I mean? Or if, for instance, if I turn on a boxing match, right? And this is really with boxing. If I turn on a boxing match and I see, I don't know who the two boxers are, and it's a black dude boxing a white dude, I'm gonna automatically root for the black dude, just because of my prejudices. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I want the white dude to die. I don't want the white dude to get paid. I don't want the white dude. I'm just going to root for the black guy.
I got it. Let me ask you this question. So do y'all, this is for all three of y'all, do y'all think prejudice, to be prejudiced, can be a good thing or a bad thing, or it can be it can be both? I think
it's neutral until you act on it. Like if we go play basketball and we picking people to pick on our team, and it's y'all three, and I need one more player, and it's a black dude and a white dude, I'm gonna be like, okay, what? The white dude don't look like he got skills. So until I go, okay, I'm not gonna pick him, or if I go, I'm never gonna pick this dude, then I can turn that prejudice into something that's negative or whatnot.
See, I'm gonna pick the white dude because I need 3-point shooters on the team. You know what I'm saying?
How you know he don't hit 3 points?
But and that's the thing. So if the first game we played, he played on somebody else's team, right, and he played good, then I'm gonna be like, the next game I'm gonna pick him up. So even though I was prejudiced against him by his looks,
that's a prejudice against black dudes. You trying to say they can't hit threes like whites?
I mean, nowadays
I'm just saying you can look at it that way.
But when we were growing up, black people was trying to go to the hole
and
dunk on people or do and one moves. When the white boy was good, just spotting up from the 3-point line, and
we ain't care nothing about them threes until Steph Curry came and changed the narrative for us.
I like the way Oscar had put it, which is the same way I put it. A prejudice is neutral until you act on it, and what you do is you either act negative about it or on it, or you act positive. Yeah, and it, same as a stereotype. It's neutral.
Yeah, it's more contextual.
Yeah,
it has to do with the manner in which it's applied. That was the reason for my analogy with the bear. You're not gonna walk up to a bear and be like, "Oh, are you a nice bear or are you a man-eating bear?" No, you're gonna
act accordingly.
Humans alive. I'm gonna keep my distance until I see him jump on a tricycle. Then you're a good bear. But and Muhammad Ali had one of the same analogies. He talked about 10,000 snakes coming in a room, is he gonna go out the exit door? Or is he gonna wait to see which snake is the garden snake that don't bite people? No, he's gonna get the fuck out of there. I mean, there's so many different analogies, man. But I think another question that I would like to know you all's opinion on, since we're in this line of thinking, along with that analogy, is it beneficial for Black people as a whole to have the to maintain the prejudging based off of their historical interaction with another people, or is that more detrimental to us?
Ooh, that's a good question, Phil.
Did I
Let me
make
go
that
first.
No, that's a good question. That's a good question.
It's a good question. The problem, and the reason why I say it's a good question is because you can look at it, in my opinion, two ways.
Yep.
Well, address two factors. You have ignorant, unintelligent people, and most people on the planet fall in that category than the intelligent people. So if I see a white person, I consider myself intelligent. If I see a white person, I'm not going to look at them in any negative way. I'm not going to treat them in any negative way that I wouldn't treat myself. And that's just how it is. That's the default of how I would see a white person. And to be more precise, that's how I would treat anybody, regardless of what they look like or what they believe or whatever. But then you have the people who are uneducated, and it don't matter if they Black or white or whatever, it's just uneducated. They just will prejudge somebody and act accordingly in a negative way. And that's what sets societies back in any city, any country, is when you got to deal with this fool. Like, I'll give you an example. That young man who killed those 19 children in that school, he just had issues, and he felt it made sense for him to go and kill somebody. Kids, out of all people. It was just that simple. I just want to go kill kids. And so when it comes to the prejudging, he had his mind made up. And this don't even have to do with race. It's just you just have your mind made up about some people or something, and you want to do something about it. And that turnout is either positive or negative. And so, yeah, I just think that we need to have more intelligent people on the planet making decisions for the fucking unintelligent people. Otherwise, if you're not intelligent, you're gonna prejudge and most likely in a negative way. So that's my take on it.
I would agree. It could go either way. I think that you must maintain that preconceived notion that you have, but don't act on it in a negative way. Like, if you know that these people have oppressed you or something like that, if you go say you getting a job or something like that, I'm not gonna start acting like they're oppressing me when I get to that job, unless they literally do something to me that shows me that they're gonna do the same thing. So I think you have to be aware that it could happen, but I don't think you act on it until you actually see something where it's like, okay, this person is actually doing what I thought they was gonna do. Because I think the world actually operates in generality. So if you've been exposed to something, you have a way of looking at things, because like you've been exposed to it before. So if like you use the analogy with the bear, if you know bears are by nature in the wild, they like to eat things or whatever, and they're way more powerful. You don't walk up to the bear and just be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna forget everything that I learned about this bear. You're gonna sit there and you're gonna ease your way in and go, okay, this bear ain't like all the other bears, and then you act accordingly. So I think you still got to keep that preconceived notion about it, but act accordingly.
I don't. I might have my prejudice against people. Just they're just basic stereotypes that I think are harmless. They might have harm, but in my opinion, I think they're harmless. I don't act on them. I live kind of by like an ethos where I don't really trust people, but I respect everyone until you earn my trust or you lose my respect. So.
Oh, wait, that's another question. The question I want to ask. Do you think respect when you meet somebody, this is when you meet a stranger. Do you think that you're supposed to already have respect for them, or they need to earn your respect? And
a certain level of respect.
You have to earn my trust, but I will respect everyone. If you can lose my respect, and you can gain my trust. So it's the opposite. You know what I mean? You don't have trust. When I meet a stranger, I don't trust strangers, but I will respect a stranger, right? Because I want you to respect me. So, but you're going to have to earn my trust, but you can lose my respect. If that makes sense.
Wait, you mean one can go and one can stay? That kind of sound weird.
No,
And he's saying like when you he's saying when you first meet somebody, there's a level of respect that you have for that person. Like you respect that they have their own little space and they want to live too. And doing that person you can build trust with that person or whatever. So say you build trust with them, or you can meet that person and they do some stuff that's just crazy and you just lose all respect for them.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying, Sean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And I would agree.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah. I believe you're supposed to have a level of respect for anybody, and trust is earned when you meet a stranger because you don't know them. And I think that if you lose trust in a person, you could also lose respect for them. I think that go hand in hand. A level of respect, you can lose it once you lose that trust from, or whatever. It just have to be that way. Why would you respect somebody you can't trust on a certain level? So that's how I see it. But yeah, what you think, Phil?
I agree 100%. I think you should respect everybody because they have the potential. I mean, you don't know what their potential is, but to trust them is to be naive of that potential. So, yeah, you don't necessarily trust them, but you respect that. They could be, and that's kind of what I was bringing up with the question that I asked, in the respect that you pretty much something that everybody said. You respect our historical interaction, but you don't necessarily have to be paranoid to the extent that every one of them is going to be like this, going to treat you like this. But just know that, it could be there because it has been there.
Yep.
So I guess for the question, it was, what was did we get to all the questions?
No, we got that last question, man. Got that last one.
So this is two we went over two?
We went over
three,
two
actually.
Yep. And that last one is, are all white people racist?
Nope. That's just easy. That's a easy answer, right? At least for me.
All right, there
you know how many white people there is on the planet?
I'm gonna have to. I said I was gonna say that they were just to be what's the word? Confrontational. I don't know if I necessarily believe. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. Well, I'll tell you this: I don't believe anything. They teach you this in so many different disciplines, but there's nothing that's always or ever, right, or never. So no, I don't think all white people are, but I think that any white person who's had exposure to media of any kind can be influenced to be, you said racist, right? Are all white people racist?
Yeah. Yes.
I think that they could be influenced to be racist because that's kind of what the system teaches them, or teaches all of us, really, a certain level of, if not hate, a certain level of superiority for them and a certain level of inferiority for anyone who isn't. So no, I don't think they're all racist, but I think there's a system that is pervasive that allows them. I think racism is pervasive, I guess is what I would say. But I don't think
I got
all
a
white
good
people are
question.
racist.
I got a good.
I would say all white people are not racist. But I kind of got a question that kind of goes into that. So if you're a white person and you're born into the power structure as it is now, and let's say we go back 100 years or something like that. Let's go back to Jim Crow time period or whatever. So you're born into the Jim Crow era as a white person. Would you inherently be racist because you don't try to go against the laws that are current during that time period? Would that inherently make you racist? Like, say you grow up in your white family and all this type of stuff, you don't even interact with black people, but you don't actually actively go out and try to get rid of some of the laws that are actually oppressing other races. Does that inherently make you racist?
Yeah, if you actually participate.
Well, I'm saying, like, you never interact with black people, you never do anything outside of just your normal life, but you never even interact with black people. Would that inherently make you racist? Like,
wait, but if the parents are racist, what are they doing to show they're racist?
That's exactly what I was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
As far as a system, like if you benefit from a system and power is what it is, you're not going to do anything to destroy what it is that gives you your status or your place in society. And if that's the case, you either are or you are not, then you are, right?
Yeah.
I would say yeah, because you actually are benefiting from that, and you're not trying to do anything to bring that infrastructure down. So
that's the problem Trump got right now. the insurrectionists that gave aid and comfort to the insurrection individuals. That's in the Constitution. Aid and comfort. If you give aid and comfort, Trump, he did that, which is what they, why they trying to stop him from being president, because of what that little portion, not just that portion, but some of it. But yeah, you if you a kid, just to be clear to the audience, if you was back in the 50s and 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and you didn't know none about racism and oppression of other people, but yet you grew up, became a teenager. I ain't gonna hold it against you if you're a kid. You grew up, became a teenager and a young adult, and you decided to not go against your parents for oppressing other people, then yeah, you're racist.
So what about the white people today?
You gotta be against it, huh?
What about the white people today that just living their regular old life? They're not out here trying to do nothing extra. They just regular old doing their thing.
No. You don't have to go, like, you ain't gotta go to a dang corner and put up a sign talking about Black Lives Matter. You just can't be a part of any rule system or policy that is oppressing somebody. You can't be a part of it. Kind of like this. Let's say your dad is a racist, right? He hate black folks, but he tell you to go and shoot this black kid that keep looking over his fence. Don't go do it. Don't go do it. Don't be a part of that.
Well, I'm saying, like, the average white person, that from that time all the way until now, they just living their regular life. They probably not even thinking about that they're racist or whatever.
Oh yeah, so you're not racist if you ain't thinking about and acting on none of that stuff. You wouldn't be a racist. Okay,
but they might still be benefiting from the power structure that is already in place.
Oh, here's another one. Let's say your dad is a racist and he kidnapped 2 black dudes to go kill them, and then he say, "I need you to drive the car for me while I hold a gun." These 2 black dudes at gunpoint in the back seat. So I could go over there and kill them. You be like, "No, I ain't driving you nowhere with these dudes, so you can go kill them because you're racist."
Okay, so what? Same scenario you just gave. What if your dad come? You got the 2 black dudes in the trunk, and your dad come and say, "Hey, can you drive me over here?" But you don't know he got the 2 black people in the trunk.
Well, if you don't know, you don't know. Yeah, There's nothing you can do about that. That's even in
the eyes of the law, you still an accessory.
What if they can find a way to make it stick? Yeah, you get screwed like that. Yeah. But they got that now where a dude could actually be going to rob somebody, and he asks his friend to drive him or give him a ride, and the friend don't know nothing about the robbery, and then he go commit the robbery, kill somebody in the process, and they get the video of the guy that's giving the ride on video with his buddy who actually killed and robbed somebody, and they'll try to put him in jail. But this is why you got to have enough evidence to make it clear that you wasn't a part of it. This is why justice ain't perfect. It's unfortunate for a person like that.
Gents, I think it's their time. I appreciate the talk. I didn't get to say that if all white people are racist.
Go ahead.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I don't.
Oscar had
I agree with Phil. I don't
question.
think anybody can be. All of anybody can be anything. So, I mean, there's some white people that don't even know they're white. So.
I agree, though. It is. There's some white people out here that is blacker than me. So
I'm not even saying
black
that.
People don't know they white. It's black people who don't know they white.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, no shot.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, I'm white inside, man. Oh shit, my bad, Phil. I like doing white people stuff. Now, Phil, I'm playing with you. I'm playing, Phil.
But hey, y'all, it's been the Reflection Connection. I hope y'all had a good time watching us. The few of you that do, man, we need some more subscribers, y'all. So, tell your friends about us, man. Hit that like.
It's coming. Hit
that like button. Hit that share button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we need y'all in our life. You know what I'm saying? We need it. But on that note,
for real.
I'm about to hit that end card. Peace out, guys.
Peace out.
What's the end card?